What's up, everyone? Welcome back. It's the 28th of April, 2025. 3 days ago, on April 25th, we learned that Virginia Giuffre, who was the primary Epstein accuser in the famous case against the billionaire financier and his sex trafficking operation, has passed away at the age of 41. In this video, we'll discuss the numerology and some synchronicity around this news story, which again broke on the 25th, the same day as her death. Now, the primary evidence that Virginia used for her case against Epstein and various other powerful people was this image with Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, which appears to have been taken around the year 2001. On the date that Virginia passed away, Prince Andrew, who was born on February 19th of 1960, was 65 years and 65 days old. This brings us to the numerical language of Gematria, where every letter in the English alphabet 1 through 26 is numbered relative to its position. And in this ordinal method, notice how the word prince sums to 65. And the prince, 65 years and 65 days old for her death. The first name, Andrew, also has this gematria, 65. So what are the odds that Prince Andrew is 65 years and 65 days old for the death of this accuser? Down in the description below, you'll find a link to a post I made in 2019 following the death of Jeffrey Epstein. And as you can see by the title of this video, I have a lot of doubts about the reality of this story. And there's no question that the Jeffrey Epstein operation goes much deeper than just one man. It seems to be a high-level blackmail ring. And is Jeffrey Epstein even dead? Who really knows? But as you will see, this script is very heavily coded by the numbers. So first we'll look at some of the date numerology and the alignments with the word suicide, which is said to be the cause of death for Virginia. And then, of course, we'll also look at the skull and bones code, which is of utmost significance to Jeffrey Epstein, and also highlights his connection to Donald Trump, the 45th and 47th president, who assumed office on January 20th, which just so happens to be the birthday of Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia reportedly passed away at the age of 41. This is the reduction gematria of the phrase skull and bones. 41 in standard Pythagorean or reduction gematria. And of course, Yale and the skull and bones code is all about the pi code. So we'll look at the mathematics of the circle and a few more notes. So to kick things off here, let's talk about the date numerology, Friday, April 25th. Notice how this was a date with numerology of 74 and 38. On top of this, April 25th is also the 115th day of the year. All three of these numbers are found in the gematria of killing. Killing sums to 74, 38, and 115. Here we're looking at the base 4 methods of gematria, where the alphabetic order can also be reversed in addition to the reduction method. The Latin cipher, also called Agrippa's key, bridges the gap from ancient Hebrew gematria to the English language. Also notice how skull and bones society equals 74 and 115. The word Masonic also 74 and 115. Virginia's full name, Virginia Louise Giuffre, equals 740 with prime numbers. This is a number connected to the total solar eclipse code, and we will see indeed how this story is connected to the Great American Eclipses. The word prostitution also equals 74. Epstein sums to 38. And Epstein was Jewish, which is a word with 74 and 38 gematria. And this seems to connect to the name Giuffre, right? Epstein, Jewish, Virginia, Giuffre. Seems to be more of a connection there. Also notice how she had birth numerology of 38. So the dates or the numbers in the numerology of the date she died, very significant to her numerology to begin with. If you measure from the birthday of Jeffrey Epstein to Virginia Giuffre, you get 28 weeks and 5 days. This represents the number 285. Well, this is of great interest because Virginia died 2,085 days after Jeffrey Epstein. And she met Epstein at Mar-a-Lago, which is the primary residence of President Donald Trump. And look at Trump's age for her death, 28,805 days. Virginia died in Near Gabby, Western Australia. In the alphabetic order, this is a city with gematria of 285. Also consider the 885 here with Donald Trump. In Latin gematria, that's skull and crossbones. Another significant 285, however, is if you measure from the first Great American total solar eclipse, which passed over the United States in the year 2017. From August 21st of that year to the date she died was 2,805 days. And how do we know that eclipse is special for Virginia? Well, not only did that eclipse pass through the corner of the state of Virginia, but Virginia Giuffre was exactly 1,776 weeks old for that eclipse. 1776, of course, the year that the United States was founded. And this is a number that connects to pi as well, as we will see in a little bit. Now, if you instead look at Virginia's age for the second Great American total solar eclipse last year, that eclipse was on the date April 8th, or 408. Virginia was exactly 40 years and 8 months of age on that date. 408 connects to Skull and Bones' home, Yale University, 408 with capital letters. President Donald Trump, also 48 in reduction. But next I want to introduce a very special form of gematria that I teach in most of my videos. This is called satanic gematria, and it sounds very scary, but it's actually constructed very cleverly. Look at how the phrase satanic gematria equals 666 in this cipher. And the beginning and ending numbers connect to the number of the beast as well. Notice how in this method the word suicide equals 315. When Epstein allegedly committed suicide, it was 31 weeks and 5 days into the year. Epstein was arrested the previous month when Virginia was 13,115 days of age. And when he died, she was 13,150 days of age, which both have the 315. Last week, Virginia died 315 days after Donald Trump's birthday, and 3 months and 15 days before her own birthday. When Donald Trump first became president, Yale University was 315 years old. And when Jeffrey Epstein was born, that same school was 3,015 months old. Skull and Bones, Yale University. Two peas in a pod, I guess you could say. And there's a lot more to unravel with this code. And this is a code I've been talking about since 2019 in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. When Jeffrey died on August 10th of 2019, look at how long Donald Trump had been in office. 2 years, 203 days. That same measurement is also 30 months and 22 days. So here we have the digits 223 and 322. In the reverse alphabetic order, Jeffrey Edward Epstein equals 322. And when Virginia Giuffre was born, Jeffrey Epstein was 30 years, 202 days old. So where does this bring us? Well, of course, once again, back in the year 2023, Yale turned 322 years old. Measuring from that special anniversary to the death of Virginia Giuffre is 565 days. Epstein's full name sums to 565 in one of the main mathematical ciphers of Gematria, all based in the alphabetic order. In the prime number cipher, Virginia Giuffre equals 482. And look at how old Virginia Giuffre was on that special anniversary. She was exactly 482 months old. This prime number cipher has been really packing heat this whole week. Check out my video on the Pope if you missed it. I must have mentioned the prime number cipher 20 times in that video. Virginia was also exactly 40 years and 2 months old for that special Skull and Bones anniversary. And Skull and Bones has Gematria of 402. Speaking of the reverse caps method, Skull and Bones also equals 254. And this is a lot like the date that she died, the 25th of April, 254. I also want to point out the Latin Gematria of Skull and Bones, 572. Because Virginia Giuffre was born 8,572 days after Prince Andrew, who was the man that she was photographed with at Epstein Island. Now, there's another big 42 found in the word suicide, which equals 420. The word eclipse also equals 42. And Virginia's death fell 42 days after the Pi Day eclipse. Remember, on March 14th, 314, Pi Day, the moon turned blood red. This is also an important part of this code to the story because when Donald Trump was born in 1946, there was a total lunar eclipse on that same very day. And on Jeffrey Epstein's very last birthday in 2019, we had another total lunar eclipse. These events happen less than once per year on average. So this is an unlikely combination. And check out Jeffrey Epstein's age when he died. He was a span of 66 years and 203 days. Let's begin with the 66. The word lunar equals 66 in ordinal, whereas the word eclipse is 66 in Latin ordinal. The phrase total lunar eclipse is 203, And Epstein died 203 days after his 66th birthday. Now, if you include the end date, Virginia's death was also 43 days after the Pi Day eclipse. Suicide, killing, death, all 43. Her name also has a 43. She died in Neargaby, which is 43, just like Epstein. So I understand this is a lot here, but really, this connection to the Yale date, October 9th of 2023, a very common trope of my videos for the last couple years. The numbers 322 and 223 both equal 106, which is also the gematria of Jeffrey Edward Epstein. And Jufrey died 106 days before her birthday. It's also important to understand how connected Donald Trump is to Skull and Bones. This special secret society, with numerology of the utmost significance, was founded in the year 1832 with no founding date given. When Donald Trump first became president in 2017, it was 185 years after the first day of 1832. And in the alphabetic order, his name, Donald John Trump, is 185. Inauguration Day was also 2,220 months and 20 days after that date. Well, the name Donald John Trump equals 220 in reverse. The Brotherhood of Death and Skull and Bones both have gematria connecting to the number 22. Jeffrey Epstein was born 220 days after Trump's birthday. And when Epstein was suicided, he was 202 days after his birthday. Even the date of Epstein's arrest is connected, because when Trump took office for the second time in the year 2025, it was 2025 days after Epstein was cuffed. Now, Epstein was arrested on the date July 6th of 2019, just a month before he died. This date, written 7-6, connects to Donald John Trump, whose name equals 76, syncing up with both Skull and Bones and Secret Society. Well, with the Jeffrey Epstein ring, all roads appear to pass through Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know if it's Ghislaine or Ghislaine. I like calling her Ghislaine, right? Because it's inappropriate and kind of funny. But check out Ghislaine's age for Virginia's death. Exactly 760 months old. And if I'm not mistaken, Virginia's name matches her birthday. So using triangular numbers, which is one of the 4 primary mathematical ciphers, Virginia Jufrey equals 1225. And Ghislaine Maxwell was born on the 25th of December, 1225. Virginia's death was also the 76th prime number of days after the second Great American Eclipse last year. And 76 also brings us to the pi code. The word pi has gematria of 76. And that's what the rest of this video is going to focus on. We start with the fact that Virginia died 2,120 days after the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein. The number 2120 appears to be connected to pi, because when you search for the digits 314 in the decimal digits of pi, these three digits do not appear in succession until the 2120th digit. The phrase ritual sacrifice has double gematria of 212 in the English Kabbalah as well. But this is definitely important. Just a few weeks ago, I made a mega post on the movie Pi and how it's connected to the movie Life of Pi. And I pointed out this 2120 riddle there too, because the director of the movie Pi was born on 212. And Life of Pi came out 212 days after his birthday. So I definitely think there's more to that. The Skull and Bones nickname, the Brotherhood of Death, matches number of the beast in Latin. Brotherhood of Death also equals the number of the beast, 666, with the base sum. And the triple sixes connects us to the circle, right? Mathematics of the circle, mathematical perfection, perfection, all 666 in Gematria. And this all ties into Epstein as well. Jeffrey Epstein died when he was 66 years and 6 months of age. He was convicted of sex trafficking, which equals 666. In fact, the island at which he conducted his sex trafficking, Little St. James, U.S. Virgin Islands, sums to 6,066 using square numbers. Well, then, Virginia goes on to die in Neargaby, which is a city that has gematria of 666 with triangular numbers. So this is the number of the beast, which is a supermatch in gematria with the name Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell has matching 75 gematria with number of the beast. Epstein Island and Jeffrey Epstein both connect to this number. And Virginia was born during lunation number 750. So there's probably more to this. But in regards to this number of the beast, another significant 666 is the Pi Day eclipse. And wait till you see how well this comes together. It's absolutely insane. So Pi Day eclipse equals 666. We just had this last month on Pi Day. If you measure the number of days from the death of Jeffrey Epstein to the Pi Day eclipse, you get a span of 2,044 days. The digits 666 do not appear in pi until the 2,440th decimal digit. 2440, the same 4 digits found here. In Latin, the word satanic equals 244. So does the number 19, which connects to the kill code in Hebrew. Kill equals 19 and 244. This means Virginia's last full day alive was the 24th of April, or 24/4. In the alphabetic order, prostitution ring equals 244. However, perhaps more significant is that in reverse, the name Virginia Giuffre equals 244. Giuffre died 244 days before Ghislaine Maxwell's birthday. For last year's eclipse, Virginia was 244 days after her birthday. And this also brings us to Trump, who was born 244 years after the founding of Yale University. He was even born 248 days after their anniversary, and President Donald Trump equals 248. This number, in turn, points us to America's current age. Remember, America celebrated its first Plutonian anniversary on Trump's birthday last year, just before the U.S. turned 248 years old. And just in case you're not dizzy enough, Virginia's death was 295 days after Independence Day, or 7/4. 295 is a big skull and bones number. That's the gematria of 223, 322, skull and bones society. In fact, when Skull and Bones turned 322 in 2023, Virginia was 2,095 weeks old. So I don't believe this is just a random coincidence. These numbers have repeatedly shown to be important. So that does it for most of the pi code, but I do have a few more notes I want to share. When it comes to pi and the circle, a very significant number is the number 50. The word circle equals 50, and the letter O, which is a circle, is worth 50 in two different ciphers. America has 50 states, and in the alphabetic order, America equals 50. So does its president, Donald. And of course, Donald was 50 days after his birthday, or before his birthday when Virginia died. I got the images swapped around there like I sometimes do. But Trump was also 1 month and 20 days before his birthday. And the words circles and eclipse, both 120. Virginia's birth name, common and full, both have 102 gematria. And the connection seems to be pretty deep here. Her birth name equals 378 with capital letters, and she was born exactly 37 years and 8 weeks after Donald Trump. She also has that special 119 birth numerology, which is the value of suicide in reverse. The name Donald equals 119 in Latin. But another big-time 119 connected to Donald Trump is the First Lady, which, this isn't the most ladylike portrait, is it? I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, though. But notice how Melania Trump, the First Lady, was 1 day before her birthday when Virginia died. So if you include the end date, she was exactly 660 months old. Notice how Melania has birth numerology of 119, just like Giuffre. That's also the 116th day of the year, the upside down 9/11. But I point out the 660 here because the number 66 is 3 times 22, right? 322, skull and bones. And the number 66 has matching gematria with skull and bones. Also, if you think of it another way and do 32 times 2, then you get a product of 64. And when Donald Trump first became the president in 2017, it was on Jeffrey Epstein's 64th birthday. And of course, 64 is the address of the Skull and Bones Society. And in Satanic, Skull and Bones gives us the 604. Secret Society, another 640. So, of course, I mean, it's certainly no coincidence. What we're looking at is a scripted news story. And again, I'm very cautious about what I call a hoax. I think this is a word that people throw around a little bit too loosely. But with a story on this scale, I mean, just think about how effective this has been in misleading conspiracy theorists, or researchers more accurately. Nothing's ever going to come of this Epstein stuff. I mean, Donald Trump was a friend of the guy. He's probably on some of those logs. And we're never going to get releases. We're never going to get a massive arrests because of this. It's just more fodder for people to get lost in. And it's got to be done by this numerical code that this secret society appears to adhere to so importantly. So yeah, thanks to everybody who made it in for the live chat. Whether you're watching live or archived, do feel free to smash that like button. Although if you smash it, don't do it too hard that you need a new mouse button. And if you smash it, do so an odd number of times so you don't also dislike in the process. But that's it for my cheesy takes on the YouTube algorithm. Again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Check the links below for more descriptions. Oh, God. I'm so ready to sign off. Check the links in the description for more work related to the Jeffrey Epstein story, dating back to 2019 and his arrest and, quote, suicide. Peace, love, God bless, and we'll talk to you all next time. See ya.